What if Goku turned Super Saiyan in the Saiyan Saga? For this to work, let's say that in this timeline, Vegeta hangs on a bit more and is able to kill Krillin in front of Goku. Seeing his best friend die would make Goku turn into a Super Saiyan just like Namek, but earlier. He'd be weaker than in the Namek Saga, but he'd be much more powerful than Vegeta. The prince wouldn't be able to do anything, and in a fit of rage, Goku might just kill him. With this, Goku and Gohan would be the only survivors. After healing, they'd wait and use the ship Goku took to go to Namek, and Goku would use the week to train using gravity, and would go Super Saiyan again and be stronger than he originally was while also training Gohan. Once they landed on Namek, they'd rush to go find that Dragon Balls, easily taking out anyone in their way. Goku and Gohan would get their potentials unlocked and would go on to kill the Doria and Zarbon. Without Vegeta interfering, they'd be able to use the Dragon Balls and bring Piccolo back, and even the Ginyu Force would still be defeated. And even when Frieza showed up, Gohan and Super Saiyan Goku would be able to defeat him and eventually kill him. Go back to Earth and bring everyone else killed by the Saiyans back to life. Goku wouldn't go to Yardrat and wouldn't learn instant transmission. He'd train for a year with Gohan, but that's when King Cold would come back to Earth for revenge. By this time, Goku would have unlocked Super Saiyan Grade 2 and Gohan would have just become a Super Saiyan and they'd easily kill King Cold. But a future version of Gohan would have come back in time to warn everyone about the androids, and also give Goku medicine for the heart virus. 3 years would pass, and since Vegeta is dead, Trunks would never be born and Bulma would stay with Yamcha. Goku would have taken the threat more serious since it's a future version of his son and would have taken the medicine as well. Goku and Gohan would master Super Saiyan and have it as their base, and Android 19 and 20 would show up, but both would be easily killed. However, future Gohan would come back in time again, but Imperfect Cell would have been walking around, absorbing everyone, and would find Dr. Gero's lab first, absorbing 17 and 18, becoming Perfect Cell much quicker. Cell would absorb Android 17 and 18 earlier, and 16 would never be activated. He'd kill his younger self and everyone would feel Cell's power. He'd fly to where they were, and Goku, Gohan, and future Gohan would all turn Super Saiyan. Cell would fight all three of them at the same time and it'd be fairly even, but he'd still have the upper hand. But Goku would try and add Kaioken to fully master Super Saiyan and he'd unleash a Kamehameha point blank and nearly destroy Cell. But he'd come back as Super Perfect Cell even stronger and then would kill future Gohan and then would shoot Goku through the chest. Gohan would see both of these and run to Goku and then watch his dad die in front of him while the other Z fighters couldn't do anything. With Goku and future Gohan both dead, this would make Gohan get angry and turn into an even more powerful Super Saiyan 2 than normal. Gohan would just overpower Cell and they'd have a beam struggle and Gohan would kill Cell. Goku and future Gohan would be brought back to life, but future Gohan would go back to his time and 7 years would pass with Goku staying alive. Gohan would continue training with Goku and both would fully master Super Saiyan and just have unlocked Super Saiyan 3, with Goten having been born and fully mastering Super Saiyan. Now after 7 years, Goku, Gohan, and Goten would be the strongest, but the world tournament would be held. Goten would win the kids division easily, also Trunks never exists because Vegeta is still dead. The androids are also dead, so Krillin never marries 18 and Gohan still goes to school where he meets Videl and the two still fall in love. The humans and Piccolo also enter, but in the end it's Goku versus Gohan, but from Gohan keeping up with his training he'd still be a bit stronger and would take the win. But Babidi would sense Popovich and Yamu, and just as the fight ended they'd be able to steal a portion of a tired Goku's energy. Grand Kai would appear and tell them about Majin Buu, and Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo would go after them. Tabora would try and hold them up, but Gohan would easily kill him. Babidi would try to Majin Piccolo, but it wouldn't work, but Majin Buu is still revived. Goku would fight him, but Buu would still have the upper hand. He'd try to absorb Goku, but Piccolo would push him out of the way, getting absorbed instead. This would anger Gohan, who'd go into Super Saiyan 3 and would struggle to add Kaioken, which he learned, and would kill Buu. Piccolo would be brought back to life, and Goku, Gohan, and Goten would keep training until Beerus woke up. 4 years would pass until Beerus wakes up and he'd go looking for the Super Saiyan God. Bulma would be holding her birthday and Beerus would arrive on Earth. He'd challenge Goku to a fight and Goku would start out with Super Saiyan 2 but easily get destroyed and would go Super Saiyan 3 with Kaioken times 20, which would be his most powerful form, but would still get easily beaten. Gohan would go Super Saiyan 3 along with Goten, who'd recently acquired it, to try and stop Beerus but would also be beaten. Everyone else would try and fight Beerus but no one would stand a chance. He threatened to destroy Earth if he didn't fight the Super Saiyan God, so just like normal they summon Shenron and he tells them Beerus is the god of destruction for Universe 7 and about the ritual to unlock Super Saiyan God. They wouldn't have enough Saiyans, so Goku would bring two kind-hearted Saiyans back to life, which unbeknownst to him would be Bardock and Gine. They'd have a family reunion and perform the ritual along with a pregnant Videl, and Goku would become a Super Saiyan God. He'd fight Beerus like normal and absorb it into his base, and Beerus wouldn't destroy Earth. Bardock and Gine are alive now, and after some time Goten would want to train with Beerus, and after finding out, Goku would go with his youngest son. After Goten and Goku would go to Beerus' planet, Goten would struggle, but unlock Super Saiyan God, and eventually both Goku and Goten would get Super Saiyan Blue. Gohan would stay on Earth as Videl gives birth to Pan, and Bardock and Gine would move near Goku's home in the mountains. But the Frieza Force would use the Dragon Balls to bring not just Frieza but King Cold back to life also. They trained for 4 months together, both getting the golden form, and would invade Earth. Gohan, Piccolo, and the other Z Fighters would show up along with Bardock, who would have just began training and would have unlocked Super Saiyan. Goku would feel Frieza and King Cold's ki and would ask Whis to take them back to Earth, but since he doesn't have instant transmission, it would take longer. Everyone starts fighting and Gohan would transform into Super Saiyan 3 with the Kaioken times 30 and would be fairly even with Frieza until he transformed into his golden form and start wiping the floor with him. Frieza would taunt him and tell King Cold to kill Piccolo and everyone else. Frieza would see Bardock and kill him along with Piccolo and Krillin, and this would anger Gohan so much he transformed into his beast form. They tried to attack, but by the time Goku and Goten arrived, Beast Gohan would have already killed them both. And after the death of King Cold and Frieza, Goku and Goten would arrive on Earth and realize that Gohan was stronger than the both of them in his beast form. Everyone who died would be brought back to life and they'd remain on Earth until the tournament with Universe 6. Gohan would train to get used to his beast form and Goten would add Kaioken to Super Saiyan Blue. Champa and Vados would arrive and the tournament would begin with Universe 7 having Goku, Gohan, Goten, Bardock, and Piccolo fighting. Goku would go first but would lose against Frost Poison. Bardock would go next and wouldn't waste any time and would have just unlocked Super Saiyan 2 and beat Frost. He'd fight Kaba next and would be interested in Universe 6 Saiyans, and he would train him just like Vegeta would but would still win, but by the time Hit showed up, Bardock would definitely lose. Goten would go next and would go Super Saiyan Blue and add Kaioken, but he wouldn't be able to get past Hit's time skip and would still lose. Gohan would go next and transform into his beast form and would still pretty easily win. After the tournament, everyone goes back to Earth, but future Gohan would come back in time and try and punch Goku. Future Gohan would come back in time trying to punch Goku but would apologize, saying that a future version of him threatened the future. Goku would go to the future with Gohan and fight Black but would come back just like normal after getting caught off guard with a Keyblade to the back. Goku would have realized it wasn't him but it was actually Goten Black. He'd wonder where his son was and would find out he had spent 5 days in the hyperbolic time chamber, which would have amounted to 5 years, as Goten would have had an obsession with surpassing his brother. He would have been about 11 to 12 when he went inside and would have come out around 16 to 17. Inside, he would have mastered Super Saiyan Blue like Goku mastered Super Saiyan and would have unlocked Super Saiyan Blue evolution and would have added Kaioken on top of that. He'd push everyone out of the way and tell future Gohan to take him to the future and Goku would go with him. Goten would fight Goten Black, who would have Super Saiyan Rose, but Goten would go all out from the beginning and kill Goten Black. And Goku would use the Mafuba to seal Immortal Zamasu. Goten would call future Gohan weak and pathetic for letting his world down and Goku would apologize and they'd go back in time. After this, Goten would lash out at his dad and the two would begin a fight. And Goten and Goku would have come back from the future and everyone would see Goten starting a fight with Goku. Bardock would try to calm his grandson down, but Goten would easily push him out of the way and knock him out. Goku would tell his son to stop, but Goten would laugh, saying that he was doing what any Saiyan should do, striving to be stronger. In this timeline, Goten would have been kind of warped from his training with Goku and seeing how powerful his allies and his enemies are becoming and would see Gohan as the highest peak he wants to surpass. Goten would immediately go Super Saiyan Blue, which would force Goku to transform also, and the fight would continue. Goku wouldn't want to fight his son until Goten started to get serious, which would make Goku take this serious and a true fight would start. Goku would have more experience, but Goten wanted to show the difference between them and would go Super Saiyan Blue evolution and easily overpower Super Saiyan Blue Goku and he'd beat his dad. But when Gohan shows up, he'd go into his beast form and Goten would add Kaioken times 20 on top of Blue evolution, but it wouldn't be enough to beat Gohan and the older brother would beat the younger brother. Goten would calm down but would tell everyone to stay out of his way and he would leave with Beerus and Whis to go train. Time would have passed and Goku being Goku would have made the tournament of power happen. Beerus wasn't too happy, but they'd find 10 fighters for Universe 10. It'd be Goku, Gohan, Goten, Bardock, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Master Roshi, Yamcha, and reluctantly Frieza. The tournament would begin and Goku and Frieza would go off and Goten says he'd rather die than team up with the rest and then goes off on his own. Most of the fights would happen like normal, but Bardock would run into Kaba and Bardock would have learned Super Saiyan 3 and would teach Kaba Super Saiyan 2. Goten would run into Kale and Khalifa and they'd fuse into Kefla. Goten would go all out with Blue evolution and Kaioken and would barely win. Goku would challenge Jiren but would still lose and unlock Ultra Instinct. Goten would see this as a chance and would make an interesting plan with Frieza while using Gohan. Gohan would go Beast and beat Jiren with Goku and eventually it'd be one remaining fighter, Goku, Gohan, Frieza, and Goten. Frieza would keep the last fighter restrained and would knock out Goku. Gohan would yell at him, but Goten, after training with Beerus, would transform into Ultra Ego with Gohan and Beast and fight his brother. But in the end, Gohan wins and wishes for everyone to be brought back. After losing in the Tournament of Power, Goten wants to find stronger opponents in order to beat Gohan, so he'd go with Frieza to search the universe. Everyone would try to stop him, but he wouldn't listen, and while Goten is with Frieza, Goku would train with Gohan to try and unlock Ultra Instinct again. While with Frieza, Goten would discover Broly and Paragus, and he'd get him angry enough to fight him. He'd have Frieza kill Paragus, which would set Broly off, and he'd turn into the legendary Super Saiyan. Goten would go Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, but Broly would be stronger than him and would force him to go Ultra Ego, and Goten would eventually win. He'd see Broly's potential and would decide to take him to Earth to have Goku train him to make him stronger. Meanwhile, Moro would break out and Beerus would go to Earth to ask Goku for help to beat him. Goten would see this as he just came back and would want to go with Goku. Everyone would meet Broly and Chilai would decide to live with him on Earth. Goku and Goten would go to Namek to fight Moro, but after seeing what he could do, Goten would be intrigued and would let Moro beat Goku and would decide to join him for the time being. Goten would want to learn magic from him and Goku would start to train with Beerus to master Ultra Instinct. Goku would train with Beerus and would learn to master Ultra Instinct while Goten was with Moro. He would learn how to use magic and mix it with fighting and Ultra Ego. Moro would break out all the prisoners like 7-3 and would go and invade Earth. Gohan, Piccolo, Bardock, Broly, and the other Z fighters would come to stop the invasion and see Goten with Moro. Goten with his new magic and Ultra Ego would fight Beast Gohan again and it would be closer, but Goten would catch Gohan off guard, but before he could do anything, Moro would absorb Beast Gohan's power. Goten wouldn't have expected this and would try and fight Moro but would lose. Everyone else would fight 7-3 and the other prisoners, and this is when Goku would arrive. He'd fight Moro with mastered Ultra Instinct, but Moro would still be a bit stronger. Goten would join his father's side and transform into Ultra Ego, and then father and son would challenge Moro, and by the time Gohan restored his energy, he turned back into his beast form and they'd overpower and kill Moro with a family Kamehameha. 7-3 and the other prisoners would be defeated, and Goten would see the error of his ways but would want to still get stronger, so he'd go with Frieza and the two would spend 10 years training. While Goten and Frieza train in the time chamber, the Granola arc would happen and he'd wish to become the strongest fighter in the universe. Goku would suddenly feel a massive energy he didn't recognize just suddenly appear. Beerus would have continued to train Goku and he'd take him to where Granola is. However, Bardock would recognize the key but wouldn't be able to remember it, so he along with Broly would come with Goku. Upon meeting Bardock, Granola would become enraged and immediately attack, forcing Bardock to go Super Saiyan 3, but Granola would easily overpower him and Bardock would remember, destroying his planet. Broly would go into Legendary Super Saiyan and keep Granola from killing Bardock, but Broly would get overpowered, but Goku would go Mastered Ultra Instinct and fight Granola, and they'd be evenly matched all until Gas showed up, who Bardock would recognize and be struck with fear. Gas would see him and would become enraged but would taunt him, and he would overpower everyone there, including Granola. Bardock would tell Goku about his past and how much he grew to regret it. Gas would try to finish Bardock off, but Goten, who would be 10 years older, now 27 to 28, would one-shot Gas, and Bardock would apologize for everything he did to Granola. But while on Earth, the events of Super Hero would take place and Cell Max would show up, and Piccolo would finally get a new form, becoming Orange Piccolo, but Beast Gohan would be enough to kill him. But Goku would see how much older Goten had gotten and would be angry at his son for spending so much time with Frieza, all for the sake of power, but Goten would tell him he was living his own life and to back off. Goten would tell his father that his goal is to defeat Beerus and become the next god of destruction, and he'd do anything to achieve his goal, as he's now surpassed Beast Gohan. Frieza would transform into Black Frieza and one-shot Goku, Broly, Granola, and Bardock, knocking them all out, and would just leave Beerus knowing he couldn't get involved since he's still technically an angel. But with this, Goten and Frieza would travel to Beerus' planet and would challenge Beerus to a fight, saying that if they win, Goten becomes the next god of destruction, and Frieza agreed because Goten would let him have free reign to do whatever he wanted. Black Frieza and full-powered Ultra Ego Goten with magic would make Beerus realize he needed to take this seriously, but once he unleashed more power, he'd overpower both of them and defeat them. After Goten and Frieza both lose to Beerus, Goten would tell Beerus that he'd surpass him one day and become the next god of destruction, and Beerus would just smile. Frieza would go off to do his own thing while Goten would go back to where he left Goku and everyone else, and he'd go back to Earth with them. Goten would ask Beerus to teach him Ultra Instinct, as he thought that maybe he might be able to merge it with Ultra Ego, or at least try, so he'd start learning it alongside Goku. He'd struggle to unlock it, but after some time would get Ultra Instinct signed, and eventually after seeing Goku use Mastered Ultra Instinct, he would master it as well. He would see Ultra Instinct as the angel form and Ultra Ego as the god of destruction form, and would struggle to find a balance between the two to ascend to an even higher power, so one day he'd be able to beat Beerus. But Goten would raise Pan with Videl, Bardock would live with Guinea, training with Goku and Goten every now and then. Broly would live with Chilai, getting married, and Goku and Goten would get stronger and would fight whatever enemy they come across next, and can't really continue since there's no more arcs after Super Hero, so this is the end.